seen that very high here at all. I want to see the LeBlanc, I want to see the Syndra, I want to see these picks that make something nice for Icon in that mid lane, rather than going towards something for Tarzan, because I think the flexibility that we've seen with Tarzan and his jungle pool has been a big boon for LNG. Now though, EDG, they get Flandre back onto this Renekton, they're getting the Viego for Jiejie as well, and they've got this crazy strong top side of the map that they can look to skirmish through.
Yeah, insanely strong. I think we should just mention out loud, actually opting out of a ban here as well. Choosing not to go for a third ban, allowing that Renekton to go through because they know that the Lee Sin is going to be the priority. They get the Renekton themselves, they get an exceptionally strong jungler. And now over to LNG, looking towards that bottom lane, trying to deny the Varus from Viper. This is the pick that he dominated on in game number 1, so Light taking that for himself.
And I'm curious to see if we get that Trundle pick coming through again to try and pair this alongside it, or at least taking a support pick here just to guarantee yourself that nice matchup. Syndra also available, so maybe we see them go back towards that, but instead of the Syndra, it is going to be that LeBlanc for Icon.
Just look at this composition though, Dagda. Look at LNG. Game number 1 versus game number 2. This is proactive. This has tools in its kit. This is a composition. Like, look at the mid-jungle 2v2. Tarzan and Icon on Lee Sin and LeBlanc. That's what I wanted to see out of the team.
Yeah, and we talked about this being a high priority pick. Honestly, Icon's best champion has been this LeBlanc. So now we get to see it. Scout got to take the opposite side of the matchup. I really want to see... I really want to see the Aftershock Lysandra here. But again, I like these picks because you're like, okay, we've got great CC. We've got a ton of skirmishing capability on this top side for EDG. We can try and play through that. Again, though, you're going to have to see if we can get the nice side of the matchup here for Scout. And if he can try and keep up with Icon in the same manner that he did in the last game. Because Icon on this LeBlanc does like to push, does like to start looking for roams. And it will more likely be down towards this bottom side to facilitate lighting this Varus.
It feels like LNG taking a long time to work out how they want to play this one out. Banning the Ezreal, it's been a staple for Viper, but honestly, pretty confident whatever Viper picks that he's going to be able to have a huge impact on the game. The Jace band away, it feels like Flandre being set up here by EDG for a strong top lane matchup with that Jace ban, perhaps another Renekton counter to be taken away. Something like the Kennen perhaps. Oh no.
I thought it was going to be the Kennen. So, like, I was thinking here, like, Ale takes Kennen here, and it's actually really difficult for EDG to operate, right? Lysandra, relatively close range. You got 2 melee bruisers. Like, going towards a Kennen here would be so nice for Ale. Even does well into that Renekton. So, LNG, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and pick that up here. And then when you look towards EDG, getting rid of the Braum, this says to me that, again, they're looking to go aggressive in this bottom lane. Looking for picks like Leona, Rel, Nautilus, where they can try and get aggressive on towards this Varus with no safety of the Thresh or the Braum to try and keep them out of arm's reach.
Certainly would make sense to have some hard engage as well alongside that Lysandra. We talked about Freljord in game number 1 and the Ashe was banned away. This time Viper goes for that Ashe, so another way to start these fights. And when you've got this much damage coming out of your top laner and your jungler, it makes sense to have a utility AD carry.
Yeah, and it does well against the Varus. It's actually the same argument we had in game number 1 as to why we wanted the Ashe was, hey, look, it does well against the Varus. You get the Immortal Shield Bow and you get the Wit's End. It makes it really hard for Icon to burst you out, and you end up in a really good spot. Now we're going to see LNG, though, taking this Leona, so trying to take the strong end of any of the matchups that EDG might want to go for, providing them with that strong engage tool as well. And I want to see Kennen. I think Kennen would be so good in this situation. You end up getting nice engage. You can play keep away from the likes of this Varus. You get another damage source on your team, but we'll have to see what LNG decide to go with.
Oh, the Gwen comes out for Ale. This is a pick that we've seen very rarely towards the second half of the split. It was obviously like completely first pick or ban earlier on in the split. Got a bit of a nerf. We've rarely seen it in playoffs, but it's going to be coming out here for LNG, going back to what worked for them earlier on. Ale's certainly a competent Gwen player. Now over to the side of EDG, though, as they look for that hard engage support that you were talking about. You mentioned the Rel and the Leona. It is going to be that Rel, as the Leona was taken by LNG.
And the Rel can do pretty well into the Leona. You can steal away a bunch of those stats, especially after the Leona hits W, and end up quite tanky in that lane. But you can see a ton of engage tools coming through from EDG, and they're going to be heavily relying on the likes of Jiejie and Viper to provide that upfront damage when we get towards those team fights. But at least for Jiejie, you got options as to where you want to try and make your name known. You can help play up towards Flandre in that top side. You can have Scout roam alongside you if you want top or bot lane with the amount of CC you have. So a lot of angles of attack here for EDG, whereas for LNG, we're kind of looking at, okay, can we facilitate this Gwen in the top side of the map, make sure she's able to get past the Renekton, where she does become that monster team fighter that we see so often in the LPL regular split.
That'll be the question, and it does feel like both teams have the potential to fight in a 5v5. I'd say that situation probably favors EDG with the amount of AoE CC that they've got for themselves. But ultimately, I don't think this is going to be down to 5v5 Dagda. I think it's going to be down to trying to find picks and trying to snowball, as we saw in game number 1 from EDG. And as we've seen from LNG, every single series of playoffs so far, a totally evolved team from what we saw in the regular split. And I'm glad to see them picking more aggressively again. I'm hoping, Dagda, that we get to see the LNG that managed to make it all the way to the top 4 after being an underdog in pretty much every series they played.
They will have their work cut out for them here, though, because with no priority in either side lane, they really need Icon to try and get out, try and facilitate plays alongside Tarzan. Because if he doesn't, it's kind of Jiejie just being able to farm himself up, keep himself nice and safe in his jungle. You'll end up at these like kind of one-item spikes where you can look for early dragons for the side of EDG as well. So we really need to have a lot of faith in Icon in these early stages to help get the ball rolling for LNG.
Well, I'm going to be looking to that mid lane, not just for Icon, for the other side as well, because Scout has opted into the exact same matchup as game number 1 in this series. He said to Icon, look, I beat you from LeBlanc's side, now I'm going to beat you from the Lysandra side.
But he has Aftershock. He's gone well, in my eyes, the kind of more correct route to go. Like, the way this matchup traditionally goes is, hey, Icon launches himself at the Lysandra. Cool, you W, you get all these extra resistances thanks to Aftershock. Makes it really hard for Icon to push you out, and you're fine. So you just neutralize the matchup. By taking the Electrocute in the last game, Icon lost that option and just couldn't trade as effectively as you could see from Scout's perspective with the LeBlanc. So at least now Scout will have a bit of an easier time, and again, like, just trying to let himself absorb that pressure from Icon and let his side lanes do the work.
And once again, we see the two junglers going opposite directions in this early game, right? We've got Jiejie pathing down towards his bottom lane, which, you know, shock horror, right? Who would have expected Jiejie to play towards the bottom side of the map? Certainly not me, right? But on the side of LNG as well, Tarzan going up towards the top lane here to try and facilitate Ale.
And also trying to play towards the strong part of the map. Ale, insanely strong level 1 in this Gwen, so we'll be able to trade effectively with that push going in. He's got priority on that top side to help Tarzan. Whereas when you look at the bottom lane, like Viper, Meiko, incredibly strong 2v2, already getting that shove, and should let Jiejie pick up his own scuttle on that bottom side.
Certainly should, as the wave. This is going to be a wave 2 crash coming out from Ale. Tarzan spotted out by the Hawk shot coming out from Viper. As a jungler, playing against Ashe is just the worst. Like, you don't get to do anything secretly, especially in professional play. Those Hawk shots are going to spot absolutely everything you do all game long. So EDG full information on where Tarzan is and what he's up to.
Well, the big question here is, what is Tarzan up to? Because I expect him to go top side, but because he skipped Wolves, he's actually potentially moving back down to this bottom side, looking to contest on this scuttle, use the priority that Icon has made. And as you can see, like Lwandy, they've actually just managed to push out this waves, but with Meiko moving up, it's still going to be tough for LNG to try and contest both scuttles here.
Well, the man was literally raised by apes. He is the self-declared king of the jungle, and he wants a 1v1 with Jiejie. Goes in with a cripple to slow Jiejie down, waiting for the Q cooldown. Lwandy over the wall as well. The flash! It's answered with a flash from Jiejie as well, but the Sonic Wave hits anyway. Oh no, Jiejie survived. Tarzan's gone too deep. He's gonna go down, and it's Viper with first blood. It could not have gone worse for LNG.
So I think it might have been a bit of an instance of George taking a second or two from LCK, but yeah, that's it. Now EDG on control here, but Light moving up.
Jiejie wants to answer as he offers a kill over to the other AD carry, but he survives. He actually gets out with his life, and now it's Light in trouble instead. There's a kill going the way of Meiko, and it's going to be one for Scout as well. Why not just give everyone a kill on the side of EDG?
Icon, please, get something back. Oh,
no! Dagda, how can it happen like this? The LNG miracle run, surely it can't end like this.
So I think for game number 3, LNG really need to mix things up. I think they need to not try and hit 3 kills at the first 4 minutes of the game. Because my God, this could not have gone worse. I like this, like, the idea is fine from Tarzan, right? Like, you've won here. Jiejie's out of the picture. Take this bottom scuttle, especially with Lwandy able to stun it, get rid of the shield, like, go that way. But now instead, he overcommits for this. Great play from Meiko to secure that kill, with even the kill going across the Viper. But at this stage, like, cut your losses, lads. Like, this is done. Instead, they think that, hey, Light's pushed in bot lane, maybe we can make the play, but you've got too many people that can commit too quickly from EDG, especially with Scout having shoved out that wave in mid.
How many lackluster flashes did we see from LNG across the course of that play? Lwandy flashing basically on the spot to try and get the Zenith play. I think he was trying to get over the wall. And then, I mean, Icon's late Q there. I mean, there's nothing he could do, right? He tried to make the play, just the recall comes through. And, well, we're into a tough situation here for LNG, Dagda, because this is a team that we keep on saying needs to be proactive and aggressive in the early game to find advantages. That's how they've won in playoffs. Well, they're 1,500 gold down at the 5-minute mark. Yeah, God, it's just... What do you even say about this, Dagda? It's a disaster before the game's even begun.
I mean, these are the kind of games where if you're in scrims, it kind of goes to, hey, do you mind if we restart this? Like, this was not the start that we meant to happen, but EDG looking for the proactive play, still top.
Ale's in trouble. He's locked up under the tower. His ult is going to come on through. Flandre takes one last tower shot. The ignite taken away. Oh my days, they get away with it again. Icon's trying to move in. Looks for a tether onto Jiejie. That's going to be the follow-up here from Tarzan. Can they finally find a kill? They've done it, Dagda. They got 2 for themselves. 2 for 3 in the end. As Flandre got away, but they couldn't finish off the Gwen.
Really nice job there from Ali, managing to get those needlework procs off, keeps himself alive. Tarzan's in position to turn that around. So LNG, they actually managed to survive that. So nice job to shut down that from EDG, get some much needed goals back in their favor, especially towards Icon in that mid lane. We want to see him step up, and that's where we got to see it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, in that fight, I was so focused on Flandre's health bar, I didn't notice everyone else on EDG died.
I mean, Flandre goes incredibly low, but like you can see here, like the needlework healing up Ale, the shield coming through with the safeguard as well, and Icon, perfect place. But oh, now he's spot side.
Oh, Viper's in trouble. Icon trying to put pressure out in this game. Meiko gets the aggression onto Light though, and it's another kill for Viper. And it feels like most of the kills that EDG have been getting this game have actually been LNG making a play and sort of fumbling it.
I mean, literally every one of them. Like, so far it's been every one of them. But, I mean, EDG now, they're going to move over towards this dragon. You got push in the mid lane for Scout as well. He didn't even need to join in that bot lane play, so he's getting turret plates for himself in the meantime as well. Like, this is big wins for EDG, and as he said, like, reflected in that gold lead, right? It's already 1,500. Now, you're looking at a team that, like, yes, spiked relatively early with the one items that we were talking about between the Immortal Shield Bow, the Gore Drinker for Flandre. Well, you can now punish that even harder with the extra gold that you're getting and play out that spike for longer.
I feel like, oh, hang on, Tarzan lands the Q. He's level 6 right now, going for Jiejie. 1v1. He repeats the play under the bot lane tower. This time it works out, but a tower shot coming through. Viper is here, hitting away with a hail of blades, but he doesn't have the damage to finish the job. Was not level 6, did not have flash. Beautifully done by Tarzan to get a bit of a better grip on this early game.
I mean, it's the redemption arc, right? We've seen it happening before our eyes, managing to get the play. And I saw Viper, I was like, all right, cool, he gets the play, but he manages to die. He gets away with that ward hop as well. And now, LNG, we kind of, well, honestly, I'd started to write them off, but they're fighting back hard, and wonderful play from Tarzan here. That Sonic Wave is just magnificent.
And I love how he holds the ult, right? We could all see how that play could go terribly wrong for him. He holds the ult until he can get that one last auto at the same time. Icon is a little bit too aggressive here. Jumps back, but he's rooted up, stunned up, and will be taken down. Or will he? Classic misdirection coming out here from Icon as he gets a root through onto Jiejie as well. He's exiting out on the top side, and Icon yet to die in this game on the LeBlanc, and looking pretty fantastic. This was all a play just to get over to the blue buff, in fact, that I just realized Tarzan
red buff
finished off with the red buff. This one's getting a bit weird, I'm not going to lie, Dagda. 7 kills on the board. Herald has been started.
It's a roller coaster of emotions. Like, you know, this is what we come to the LPL for. So you can hit the high highs, the low lows, and the what the hell was that all in one play. And there, Icon managed to escape away, which is great. I still want to see, though, how this is going to continue forward, because you've got a really strong top side of the map for LNG. They could actually look to now threaten this Rift Herald, because as long as Viper isn't in the picture, you were pretty strong on LNG's top side.
Yeah, it certainly feels like they have salvaged a lot of what went wrong in the early game. That said, though, they are still 1,000 gold behind at this point in the game. 2 plates have gone the way of Scout. And just look at Viper. I think that's the most important thing. We get a replay of them losing the blue buff. That feels egregious. Feels almost mean from production there. Viper 2-0-2 on this Ashe as his Griffin counterpart Tarzan starts this Herald off.
Our Scout has no TP. He just reset as well, so this will be an LNG objective, and this is what we're talking about. Hey, look, LNG just try and play through that strong top side. However, you kind of need to move Lwandy back down here, because you know what happened in the last game where we get that Rift Herald play, but Viper's just taken 3 turret plates bot side.
Yeah, and we might see him get one. Won't be able to. Light able to clear the wave, but Light has no mana down in that bottom side of the map, as the Herald was taken by Tarzan in the end. So LNG, this is their bridge now to close the gold gap that we've seen built up by EDG in this early game. That Rift Herald can certainly get them back into the game. I don't know if they'll ever have a window to try and make the play in the mid lane, but I would love to see more gold into Icon's hands after how he has been performing here in game number 2.
I feel like the play is going to be shove in mid with Icon and then full rotate top. You've already got a turret plate there. We talked about Ale kind of wanting to bypass the early game from Flandre. Getting more gold into this Gwen's hands, I feel like is such a big boon, especially for your team fights, where you will be looking for Ale to be that main consistent source of damage when you're going kind of the double poke AD carry in mid lane.
We'll have to see if the play topside can happen, because look at Meiko right now. He's been around the mid lane for like the last minute, just trying to make sure that Scout has some support, and Icon can't find himself priority. Flandre getting 1 plate for himself, will dip away as well as Jiejie was hiding up in the brush of the top lane. They'll cancel the play in the end, just making sure that they can crash that wave, grab a plate, and set Flandre up to be able to match this Gwen in the mid game.
Dragon, though, in 15 seconds, and with all the movements that are happening, EDG look like they're going to full commit to this, so I'm keeping my eyes on Tarzan. He can just roam top here if he wants, go for that play that we were talking about on the turret, and trade that Dragon for that tower. It will be the second one for EDG, though, so need to be careful that you're not letting these Dragons just stack up and allow EDG to play their classic EDG style.
Now, it's worth mentioning as well, hang on, I'm going to hold that thought. Tarzan's moving up to the top side. Flandre's in trouble here. 2v1 underneath the tower, as Renek said. Dominus pop. Look for where he manages to get the stun. It's Tarzan under the tower, but he flashes out to save it. Oh, Ale's tanking. Got to be cautious on that one. Will survive, though, ultimately. It's a kill onto Flandre. It's a Herald down, and it's very likely first tower here in favor of LNG.
And this is where LNG can try and claw back that gold. As you see, now we're back to even and try and find these fights a little bit more. Icon.
Oh, Icon. He's going for the all-in. That's going to be Scout's ultimate force out here. And Icon doesn't have the cooldowns to keep making it happen. It doesn't matter. He's just playing distraction in the mid lane because his team has taken 2 top lane towers. LNG now have found themselves the gold lead.
Yeah, and EDG, they get the Dragon. They put a lot of pressure to the bottom side to try and trade that those turret plates top, force some plates onto Viper, but it does mean they've now lost 2 towers because no one's there to protect that top half of the map. So EDG a bit slow off the pace, and now we're back to even Steven. LNG doing such a good job of bringing themselves back, and look at the items, right? Riftmaker, Gore Drinkers, very close to Luden's Echo for Icon. They're starting to power through on this top half of the map.
And, you know, the conspiracy is starting to make sense to me now, Dagda. Because when you look at LNG's logo, it's that chilling, and it looks like it's kind of flying through the clouds, right? Well, it's going to be a cloud soul for EDG. Perfect situation for LNG. As Icon comes into the mid lane, and he says, you can't win this matchup either.
I mean, it's been his best champion. Like, this guy's looks so damn clean on a 4.1 KDA on it at the moment, and he's just styling the solo kill for Icon on the potential neutralizing matchup. Maybe we don't get to see Lysandra anymore for this series, because it ain't making a difference who has it. It just doesn't have the juice in the tank to survive.
That flash as well, the predictive flash from Icon. Knew that Scout was going to try and flash away from the tether. Beautifully played. And well, we get to see these 2 veteran mid laners, both of them on either side of the matchup, and both times LeBlanc winning out. But Icon wants to get himself that same MVP that Scout got in game number 1 of this series as he moves to 1 Scout again, drops a ward in that brush. He's trying to help Tarzan steal away the red buff. Jiejie's just like, you can have it, mate. I'm out of here. Not a chance of fighting this one.
I love how Icon was playing that, though. Distortions in, instantly backs out in case that ultimate came down from Scout. Was a bit worried about being burst out, but never comes down. So again, we're seeing LNG now starting to use this top half, making sure that they're in good shape. Gwen now massively far ahead over this Renekton as well, just in terms of pressure and everything else that she has in terms of items. So I'm looking to see how we can unlock Ale now. Can he start to move around the map? Maybe look for a dive on this mid lane. Try and create numbers advantages for LNG.
That would be the goal, as Viper is left alone on the bottom side of the map here. Both Meiko and Jiejie resetting. There is a control ward in the brush, so you'll have full information of the fact that Tarzan is here as the full push comes out from LNG. I don't think that they're going to try and go for a dive at this point. You'd need someone flanking, really. And Viper will be all right to just clear this wave away in the bottom side. And it does feel like, I've said this 100 times before this split, and I'll say it again, for EDG, all of the eggs are in the Viper basket.
I still think they have options to make more plays, though, because my eyes are actually drifted up towards that control ward that's right beside Renekton right now. That's been sitting there for a little while, and especially when you have Scout with TP advantage in this mid lane, they can try and look for a TP play up there, see if they can pick off Gwen, get some of that gold back in towards Flandre's hands, and see if they can slow the pace here for LNG, especially with that long lane. Ale has to extend so far if Flandre looks for something like a freeze or starts to deny CS away from Ale.
I'll have to see if they can find a way to deny Ale in that way. And the CS gap has been closed because of that long lane that you're talking about, where Flandre's just been taking wave after wave after wave for himself, and we'll be able to even that up. But it means that Ale is elsewhere on the map, right? Ale down in that bottom lane. You can see as the fight kicks off already, Meiko's out of position. The shield comes up, but is he going to be able to save him? Lwandy looks for more as well. Meiko taken down. And Jiejie once again forced out of the play. And it feels like every single play this game, Dagda, has been Tarzan running at Jiejie and saying, get out of here, buddy. This is my jungle.
And I love how aggressive he is. Like, it's just fearless. Especially because he knows he's got the Sterix and the Gore Drinker now completed. Like, he's pretty tanky and going to have a surprising amount of health that he can just drain away from his opponent. So constantly being the force that goes in first, getting the slow, setting up for his team to follow up. It's been really nice to watch, and has honestly become a big issue for EDG now because they just cannot deal with this Lee Sin wherever he shows up. We're going to get on the replay here as well. Like, going in here aggressive is kind of nuts, because if they try to burst you out, you're in a lot of trouble. But Tarzan understanding, hey look, Gore Drinker, Sterix, they cannot just one-shot me here. So I set up, give the space for Lwandy with the flash in, Icon to come over the wall and get that quickly.
And now, off the back of this pressure, off the back of the lead, the LNG have managed to find themselves. They get themselves the second Herald of the game as well. And it's really important to just think back for a second to how this game started, because it was LNG that were forcing plays on the bottom side of the map, and it was EDG that were winning these plays. Now LNG have been able to flip this game completely around. They're the ones that found an advantage as Viper whiffs the ult a little bit, dodged by Icon, throws down a little mole diver. He might be telling him to climb into their own grave in a second if he keeps the mole diving up. It's going to be tower defended though. The Herald not able to grab the dragon quite as effectively as LNG would have wanted, but they can at very least start this one off. Tarzan moves in and it looks like EDG not willing to contest.
Yeah, EDG forced to deal with the Rift Herald mid, so you do get that first dragon coming through for LNG. Unfortunately though, EDG committed everyone towards that bot side, so it's not like they're getting pressure elsewhere. Flandre's not whacking away at that top turret. You can even see Icon going to spot EDG out as the multi-man push moves up towards that top side.
Light moves into the mid lane as well. Lane positioning changing completely, or lane assignment, sorry, changing completely. As you see, Ally on the bottom side. See Scout moving up to, or Icon, sorry, moving up towards the top side of the map, but actually he's been caught in transit and Meiko was waiting for him over the wall. Flashes away from the stun, but Scout jumps forward. He wants revenge. The Heartbreaker is there, and the shutdown goes into the pocket of Jiejie. Now Flandre in trouble on the other side of the map, but he dodges everything beautifully. Needlework doesn't do enough damage. Under the tower they go. Tarzan tanking, but with the Dominus there, with no minions, LNG cannot answer.
Yeah, they saw the Dominus and were like, we don't want any of that, especially Tarzan not having a ward available to try and go for some sort of ward hop flash kick. So he will back away, but EDG, they get the pick, they get mid lane turret, now working on top side. That was a really strong play from EDG, and that's what we're talking about with Scout. Having that TP available as Lysandra, you can look for these creative plays, and they managed to pick off Icon in transition.
Beautifully done here by EDG, and I think a crucial point in the game, right? Because the EDG have finally put a stop to what LNG have been doing for the last few minutes. They're the ones back ever so slightly in the lead when it comes to gold. This has been incredibly back and forth.
And you can see Meiko had just a freshly placed ward there for Scout to come in on. He's got the speed up off coming off the home guard base as well, so able to finish off Icon easy as you like. And now you're looking at EDG, right? And one of the members that we haven't had a chance to talk about has been Viper. He's already got his Immortal Shield Bow. He's already got his wit's end. Like, you add a Gwynsu's or a Runa's Hurricane in there for Viper, he's hit critical mass. He's doing so much damage in these fights, and there's been very little from LNG that have been able to interact with Viper and how far ahead he's gotten. So for Icon, you want to try and pick him off as these fights kick off, but the shields and that magic resist is going to make it incredibly hard for Icon to do his job.
And it's worth mentioning as well that, you know, a lot of people think about Ashe as this late, or I guess utility AD carry, right? Where you're not really the primary damage source of the team. Generally speaking, that's going to be true. However, if you can get a lead, and if you get to 3 items, Ashe is still an AD carry, ultimately. You still do massive damage if you're left to just free fire. And once again, for the second game in a row, we see that Viper is 20 CS ahead of 10 CS per minute in the game. I swear to God, he doesn't miss a single minion. So every single game, he just gets to this terrifying point. Ally on the other side, I think, is the same story for LNG, though, right? This Gwen, already 2.5 items, massive amount of CS, a bounty without a single kill, says a lot about how far ahead he is.
And a lot of our folks from the likes of the LEC are probably looking going, what is that item that's second for Ally? This is the build that we see in the LPL so often. It's not going for that Nastra's Tooth second, it's going towards this Cosmic Drive. The extra movement speed, the extra AP means that you can get a lot of work done off of that ultimate, and is much more built for these team fights, especially as you can see rounding out with the Zhonya's Hourglass that's been started. We'll be looking to see what Ally can do, but Icon, oh no, buddy.
He had such a good early game. Zips back to the distortion. Let's see if he can go for the special brushy tactic, or whether he's just going to get caught out here. Scout waits, and it's a beautiful snipe from Viper. Everybody on EDG is here. Icon, you will not get away with it again, sir. Jiejie grabs the kill for himself. Now in the mid lane is LNG. They have complete run of the map as Icon took everyone from EDG.
Hey, you'd be pretty happy as LNG to at least be able to crack up on that mid lane turret without much fuss, but EDG, this would be a risky call.
All right, here we go. This is the EDG that is willing to make things happen right here. Going for the Baron, going to coin flip this one. Ale on the top side. Keep your eyes on Tarzan. Scout knows where he is already. Roots him up. Meiko gets a massive CC chain. It was all a bait, and Tarzan fell for it. Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh, but George of the Jungle gets out safely, and LNG on the other side of the play, zipping off to safety themselves. EDG, they tried to set it up, but the stopwatch saves him, and now TP from Icon. It's down to the bottom side. I thought the fight was going to continue.
Yeah, because they're looking at Dragon. You don't get the pick. Tarzan can reset. He runs out. And a lot invested into that as well coming through from EDG. You just got Meiko's Magnet Storm out. You got the a couple of flashes out from the likes of Jiejie as well. The cleanse from Viper. Like, I'm kind of all right with that as LNG. You just wait them. You get these big abilities. And now, for this Dragon, it becomes very difficult for EDG to contest.
Certainly does. This would be a second Cloud Drake from the side of LNG as well. And, you know, you were talking about the Cosmic Drive earlier. One of the big reasons is that CDR that you get from it. Well, with 2 Cloud Drakes as well, Ale's going to have multiple Needleworks every single fight at this rate because he's going to have a lot of CDR for his ultimate. As Tarzan will be able to finish this Drake off, and EDG, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, right? That play that looked so good for them, right? It looked like that was the play that was going to set them up to snowball this game, falls apart, and they didn't spot that control ward that's in the Baron pit right there. It's hidden behind that little bit of wall, and it means that LNG have complete control, complete knowledge of what's happening around the Baron pit.
Sneaky, sneaky. However, I don't really mind too much for LNG's sake. Just because Ale, as you said, is massive. Like, this 1v1 in the side lane is starting to get to the point where Ale can almost look for dives and murder the Renekton underneath the turret, especially when we hit this level 16 and we get that Zhonya's completed. The extra armor is going to make this matchup pretty much unplayable for Flandre. So, EDG, your timer has run dry on these side lanes. Now you need to start getting creative when it looks towards picks with Scout, with Viper having this ultimate, and seeing if you can catch people on LNG in transition like they've been doing so far this game, and then look towards Dragons, Barons, and closing out this game.
We'll see. But you know what, Dagda? Here's the thing that's bringing a big old smile to my face right now. It's the fact that we are 6-6 in kills. We are 2-2 in Drakes. And when you look at the gold difference between these two teams, there is just a 400 gold difference as we head towards this 30-minute mark. Light barely dodges away from that arrow, has to flash us up, and Flandre is behind him. The miracle flank comes out from Flandre. Light has overstepped, and I thought we were going to have late game team fights. No, we're just going to have a pick on the AD carry and an opportunity for a Baron.
And they can go straight towards it. Icon's just reset. He's got no TP. EDG will burst this with the Guinsoo's Rage Blade that Viper's just picked up. Ale now in the area.
That wasn't even a TP flank. I'm not entirely sure how Light got caught by that, but either way, EDG getting the Baron for themselves. Tarzan here to try and contest it. Ale in trouble, uses the Zhonya's. It's going to be kicked back by Tarzan. It's the fight, but it's going to be Scout starting things off with a kill. And Jiejie steals the Gwen to finish another 2 more kills. Icon and Tarzan versus the world. Onto the Baron go EDG. Tarzan has to try and find the steal for himself. Q in, but it's a little bit too early for now. Flandre, keep your eyes on him. He has to find the stun onto the enemy jungler, but the Q goes wide from Tarzan. The DPS doesn't come out from EDG just yet. There it is. They get the Baron for themselves. Icon tries to steal it, but can't get it. It means EDG now firmly in control.
And EDG just playing this composition beautifully, right? They know, look, if we continue to leave Flandre in the side lane, we're going to lose out. Icon, though, might try and make a pick. Nah, he's going to back away. You're 2 levels down. You can't burst them out. But the thing is, they're collapsing, right? They're going, hey, look, we're not going to just stick around and let this happen to us. They make that pick on towards Light. You've no vision on that bottom side jungle. So Flandre just scoops in behind them, and they're just corralling the entire Light in towards Flandre. And I want to see more of this. I want to see them keep doing this, because this is how you're going to fight against LNG. Catch them when they're trying to get their side waves in a row.
And that's the thing, right? It's just like if you go on holiday to Florida. Whenever you're near a river, expect the crocodile. Light should have known that the crocodile was coming. Gets caught out. You know, Ale trying to make the play happen, but it's just infinite CC hits.
Yeah, and look, it's nice for Ale when he can get into these fights, and it's a 5 versus 5. When you're isolated like that, it's too easy to lock up this Gwen and burst her down. You can't even get your damage out to try and heal off it. Now Ale, he's found several members of EDG in this bottom side, and LNG, they're not really in a position to defend. This turret might just fall before they can get there.
EDG should be able to finish this one off. Tarzan, you can see him moving over, but he's only just left the mid lane here. He's still going to be a while, and again, this is a Baron siege, so they can take as long as they like. They've still got a minute 30 on the Baron. Here we go, all in from LNG on the bottom side. Meiko has so much CC. Viper is untouched on the backline. Tarzan trying to close the gap, but the DPS is massive, and now into the rest of the fray. Lwandy low, trying to escape with his life. Ale as well, but Flandre in the middle of everyone, just shredding health bars, shredding LNG's hopes and dreams apart as EDG obliterate them.
EDG as they are going to be able to close this one out, pick up game number 2. What a performance from EDG again. Managing to shut down LNG in the early stages, come back with some nice picks, and now push themselves towards games number 3.
Dagda, they're trying to finish this one off. Viper going on to Icon here. The towers will fall in EDG. After falling to the lower bracket, looking like they'd forgotten how to play League of Legends, they show us why this team is the 2nd seed and why they're looking to push forward in the bracket.
And they make it look easy, Munch. They find these ways to turn around the aggressive plays from LNG in the early stages. We hit a bit of a slower mid-game as they're trying to just figure out, get the map in the way that they wanted to. And then when they get that moment, they pounce, pick off light, get the Baron, and close out the game exactly as they want to.
And I just want to say how the entire early game that went the way of EDG was off of LNG botched plays, right? Yeah. Then LNG kind of get a couple of plays that work for themselves, neutralize the gold lead. We have a very even mid game, and then the game ends with LNG botching an engage on the bottom side and EDG just winning the fight and closing the game out. This felt like LNG were the team that was proactive the entire time. It was just EDG capitalizing on the mistakes that LNG were making.
Yeah, what's the quote? It's those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it, or something along those lines. And we kind of saw that, right? They botched the plays early, they come back, they botch the plays again, and now they're in a different spot, or a difficult spot where they need to try and find a way to come back, start this reverse sweep. And honestly, they're struggling massively in this bottom side of the map. Like, the benefactor of all those early botched plays was Viper. Viper then steps up massively when it comes towards these team fights, both just in front of that Baron, down in that bottom side play as well. You can see, look at the damage, like nearly 10.6k damage there for Viper. He was monstrous in these fights, and it meant that you had this definitive carry performance for EDG that they could start to rally around as they got the game back in their control.
And things are starting to look dicey, not just for LNG here. There's a lot of teams with their hopes riding on this series. Dagda is 2-0 now for EDG. And if EDG lost, FPX would guarantee that they get to Worlds. RNG could even get the 2nd seed position as well. LNG would continue their playoffs run. And WE always wants EDG to lose, right? But EDG now 2-0 up, and just a night and day transformation from the series that we saw the other day from EDG. It feels like, I don't know what they did. They had, what, 3 days, was it? I don't know how they've transformed themselves back into this kind of dominance, but it's looking beautiful. And it's clean League of Legends as well coming out from it.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. And as we said, like, both games now, we've seen LNG try to make these early plays. EDG consistently being there to shut them down. Jiejie trying to find these ways that you can help out in that regard. So I think for LNG, they're going to be left kind of scratching their heads, right? Like we were saying, a lot of these early plays were going to come out from LNG, and that's been their bread and butter for playoffs, getting these early leads and running away with them. Now, though, EDG have stopped that in their tracks, and LNG really don't know what to do when they get into these positions. And now they've got to try and start the reverse sweep, and this is elimination. There is no second chance anymore. If LNG lose here, they are done in LPL playoffs.
Yeah, LNG have to reverse sweep to keep themselves alive in the bracket. We'll see if they're going to be able to pull it back, because that game, honestly, it looked good for them in the early stages. I don't know if